Hello, this is your special education virtual content specialist with the 7th grade math lesson for June 7th. This lesson, like all other lessons, can be found on TeachHub. We provide the title, the focus question, and the learning objective, including the standards and objectives for teachers. Additionally, we provide guidance for using this resource, including instructional and technology guidance, implementation guidance for each slide in the lesson, guidance for summarizing, guidance for assessment during instruction, and general methods of engaging with students with disabilities and multilingual learners. 7th graders are going to continue working on Unit 8, Probability and Sampling. Day 33, Comparing Populations with Friends. How do we determine what information we need to compare large groups? The introduction is going to have students review the useful information that can be gained from different graphical representations of data in preparation for comparing groups based on samples from each. To support students with disabilities, each data type is on its own separate slide, and it can be utilized with the Pear Deck option choice. That way you can quickly poll students on whether they believe it would be a dot plot, histogram, or box plot. For this slide, which of the displays would be the easiest to find the mean of the data? Students can say dot plot. Which of the displays would be easiest to use to find the median of the data? Students could say box plot. Which of the displays would be the easiest to find the MAD of the data? Students can say dot plot. Which of the displays would be the easiest to use to find the interquartile range of the data? Students can say box plot. Which of the displays would be the easiest to use to find the symmetry of the data? Students can reply with either dot plot or histogram. As a synthesis for each question, you can have at least one student share their reasoning for each question. For the Explore, students are going to be given two different situations, and they need to think about the information needed to compare the samples, and when they are given that information, to determine if there is a meaningful difference. For this slide, the situation reads as follows. A chewing gum company records the amount of time in minutes it takes for a person to find that the gum has lost its flavor for two different flavors of gum. A sample of 20 people is used for mint, and another sample of 20 minutes is used for the cinnamon gum. Is there a meaningful difference in the amount of time for the different flavors? Explain your reasoning. To determine a meaningful difference between samples, what additional information do you need? Students may say that they may need whether the distribution is symmetric, they may need the mean, they may need the median, the interquartile range, the MAD for both the mint and the cinnamon gum. On this slide, students are given that information, and now they have to explain if there's a meaningful difference. Students may say that there is a meaningful difference. Since the data is not symmetric, it makes sense to use the median and interquartile range to compare the data. The medians are more than 2 IQRs apart, since 112.5 minus 65 is greater than 2 times 22.5. So there is a meaningful difference between the flavors. For this situation, it states a grade 8 English teacher is interested in grammar scores for students coming from the 2 grade 7 English teachers. Is there a meaningful difference in the means for student scores on a pretest coming from each grade 7 teacher based on the samples? To determine a meaningful difference between the samples, what additional information do you need? Students may say that they need the scores from teacher A and the scores from teacher B before determining a meaningful difference between the samples. Now that students are provided the scores from teacher A and the scores from teacher B, they will be able to determine if there is a meaningful difference. A possible response would be no. The mean for teacher A is 83 and the MAD is 5.4. The mean for teacher B is 79 and the MAD is 7. So the difference in means is less than 2 MADs apart. 83 minus 79 is less than 2 times 7. For this slide of the Explore, students are asked what was the most important information you thought you needed for the first problem. For the second problem, so for the first problem, students may realize that they needed to know if the data was symmetric, and they also needed data depending on that answer. In this case, it was the median and the IQR. For the second problem, students needed the scores, which helped with determining the mean and the MAD. The second question asks, what are some other ways the information could have been given to solve problems? For the first question, instead of characteristics, a box plot could have been presented. For the second question, it could have been a dot plot or characteristics like presented in the first situation. Students can also be asked if the distributions for the first problem had been symmetric, would the answer have been the same? Students can say yes, the difference in means is 34.25, which is only 1.6 MADs apart. So there would not have been enough information to say that the two population means are meaningfully different. For the summary, students are answering the focus question, and you can support students with disabilities by providing them a sentence starter as shown on this slide. When students are done responding, they can complete the cool down. There is additional support for students who are struggling. Remind them that when comparing two populations given their samples, there are two possible outcomes. There is a meaningful difference, or there is not enough information to say there is a meaningful difference. There is a meaningful difference when the sample means or medians are 2 MADs or IQRs apart. There is not enough information to say that there is a meaningful difference when they are less than or equal to 2 MADs or IQRs apart. And remind students that, as a general rule, if two populations have the same mean or median and similar variability, the sample means or medians should be within 2 MADs or IQRs of one another. Students can also use this table to collect the data points and the distance from the mean to calculate the mean absolute deviation. For additional practice, students can complete the Open Up Resources practice problems, Khan Academy Grade 7 Comparing Distributions, or Engage New York Grade 7 Module 5 Lesson 21 problem set. These lessons were designed utilizing illustrative mathematics and Open Up Resources. Please visit these sites to support students' digital learning. If you have any questions, reach out to your virtual content specialist. Thank you.